Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I will be continuing to read Becoming Muhammad Ali. Today I'm reading Round 3. So let's get started. Round 3. Did I mention I always wanted to be a writer? Maybe you guessed since you're reading this. Written by Lucky. Or I guess I should say by Lucius Wakely. Sounds more writerly. But luck definitely played a part in me becoming a writer. Because I was lucky enough to know Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. Cassius would be the first to admit that he didn't like to write or study. He showed me his report card once. His average grade was 72, which was just about passing. He got a 93 in mental work, though. I guess you could say he was good with his hands. I was different. I liked school. In fact, I bawled like a baby if I didn't get 100 on a test. But Cassius wouldn't let me cry about stuff like that. "Dry it up, Lucky," he said. "School ain't life." Once I got a B on an English essay, and I knew it wasn't fair. Cassius made me walk right up to the teacher after class and argue with him. I went back and forth with that teacher for a half hour, but in the end, I got my A. "You got it 'cause you deserved it," said Cassius, "and 'cause you didn't back down." Cassius didn't like to read much either, but he really liked being read to. Sometimes we'd sit together in his front yard and with his little brother, Rudy, and I'd read from newspapers or magazines or comic books, especially Superman comics. Cassius loved Superman. Loved him. He loved that Superman was stronger than everybody else. He loved that he was world famous. He loved that he defeated villains and people called him a hero. Truth, justice, and the American way. That was Superman's motto. Cassius loved that part the most. There were times growing up in Louisville when Cassius was my own personal Superman. One time, the three of us, me, Rudy, and Cassius, were walking down the street when a car rolled up next to us. It was so close, I could hear the radio and smell the cigarette smoke inside. The car was filled with young men, white men, and I guess they thought we were on the street we shouldn't be on. The man in the front seat leaned out the window. "This ain't your neighborhood," he said. "You boys are in the wrong place." Then he flashed a knife, a switchblade. I was really scared. So was Rudy. Maybe Cassius was too, but he didn't show it. He stepped right out in front of me and Rudy. You dumb enough to try something with that knife?" Cassius said. He looked right at the guy, staring him down. Daring him. It was hot that day. The temperature inside the car must have been triple digits. The guys were getting mad because they weren't moving. We were just standing there. I saw the guy with the knife say something to the driver. The car engine stopped. Then all four car doors opened at once. Cassius turned to me and Rudy. "Time to go," he said. Cassius was brave, but he wasn't stupid. All we heard was, "Hey!" as we started running. With his strong legs, Cassius could have been home sitting on the porch before Rudy and I got to the end of the block. But he slowed down so we could keep up. There was no way he was going to leave us behind. This is the part where Cassius Clay Muhammad Ali is starting to talk. So let's continue. My friends, everybody's got a nickname on our block. Rudy's is sometimes Hollywood on account of Daddy named him after one of his favorite movie stars, Rudy Valentino. My best friend, Ronnie, is Riney, 'cause that's how his grandmother screams it from her living room window when the street lights start flickering. "Riney!" Lucius is Lucky, on account of one summer he fell through a plate glass window, and not a scratch was on him. Then the next summer, he crashed his bike into a parked car and flew over the car into a bed of hay in the back of a passing pickup truck. We call Corky Buckler Chalky, but not to his ashy face, 'cause he's strong as a mountain lion, meaner looking than a jackal, and he gives out black eyes to boys and some men too, like candy on Halloween. We got Jake and his brother, New Boy, who both sing doo-wop in a group called the Blue Tones. There's two Bubbas, one short, one tall. Big Head Paul's got a head as big as a battleship. Cobb, a.k.a. Lil Man, is 2 years older and 2 feet shorter, but got a real job and new clothes, new shoes, and a bank account to prove it. When they see me coming, it's always, "We should call Gigi the Black Superman." Faster than a speeding bullet. We shoot marbles, play touch football in the backyard, stickball out in the street, hide and seek with the girls, see who can spit the farthest, pretend we're Jack Johnson knocking out the Great White Hope, and run races in Chickasaw Park. But my favorite game is when Rudy throws rocks at me and misses 'cause I duck so fast I make him call me Donald. Jump so high I can nearly touch the sky and grab a cloud. It's a bird, it's a plane. Card trick. "You got some speed on you, Cassius," Granddaddy Herman says as we finish pulling weeds from his garden. He shuffles the deck of cards, then tells me to pick one. "You remind me of myself running bases. How good at you were baseball?" "At baseball?" I ask, pulling the king of hearts and sliding it back so he can't see. "Better than most," he answers, throwing the cards all over his kitchen table. "As good as Jackie Robinson?" I ask. "Could have been." "Really?" "Could have been as good as Cool Papa Bell, Josh Gibson, and all them players you ought to know about, too." "Did they play in the major leagues? You writing a book or what?" he says, shaking his head and telling me to pick the cards up. Conversation with Granddaddy Herman. "Shouldn't you head home with your brother? He's got to do homework. Mama Bird stays on him." "What about you in school? Your lesson's important, you know." "I know. I get by," I say, handing him the cards back. "That ain't enough, Cassius. Life ain't no crystal stair." "What's that mean?" "It means you gotta work twice as hard to get half as far as the rest of these folk out here. Can I ask you a question, Granddaddy?" "I dunno, can ya?" "Why'd y'all name me and my daddy after a slave owner?" "Boy, you got some learning to do about baseball and your name." The original Cassius Marcellus Clay wasn't no slave owner. In fact, he freed all the slaves in the Clay plantation, including your great-granddaddy, my father. Then he went and fought for the Union in the war. You and your daddy named after a man with principles, probably the only white man I ever knew to be good. Know who you are, Cassius, and whose you are. Understand?" "Yes, sir." "Now I know you're hungry, 'cause you're always eating, so go ahead and get some of my cookies and leave me 3. "Thank you, Granddaddy." "Get a glass of milk, too, so you can get on home." "I can stay a little longer if you need help around here. I got stuff to do, boy." "Tell you what, while you're eating up all my snacks, I'll tell you the story of Tom the Slave, and then you go back on home. Deal? But what about my card?" "You mean the King of Hearts you're sitting on?" he said, smiling. The same night at bedtime, I tell Rudy about how Tom the Slave escaped to freedom by hiding in a casket on a ship of dead bodies on its way to London, England, and how when he got there, he became a famous bare-knuckle boxer who would have won the heavyweight championship of the world if 100 Brits hadn't got so mad that he was beating their fighter that they rushed the ring in the 9th round, clobbered Tom, and broke 6 of his fingers. That ain't true. You calling Granddaddy Herman a liar, Rudy? I'm just saying. You think it's a real story? Probably. I don't know. It's a good one, at least. Why didn't he fight with gloves on? You writing a book or what? Rudy, before we go to sleep, pick a card. Ritual. I practiced card tricks every night on Rudy. Even stayed up long after he fell asleep, trying to find the right card, trying to prove to myself that I was smart at something. One Friday after school, me and Riney and Rudy were out running the city buses heading home. Figured we saved 10 cents fare for some finger snaps at Goldenberg's when I took a detour and told him, "Hey, let's go to that hamburger joint over on Broadway." We sat in Rainbow, splitting 2 cheeseburgers and fries, me joking about Riney's bald spots from the terrible haircut his grandma gave him, and Rudy winking at every girl that walked by with her mama when in walked tall Bubba, who we hadn't seen since the accident. The accident. We were playing a game on Virginia Avenue, our block against theirs. It was me and Riney and Short Bubba and Lucky against Cobb, Big Head Paul, Jake, and Tall Bubba. Rudy was still sick with the chicken pox bad, even though our neighbor told us we could cure him by flying a chicken over his head. Cobb's block always beat us because Big Head Paul was a three-sport legend in the West End. I mean, he could hit a rock with a pencil. And Tall Bubba from Smoketown had arms so long he could probably box with God. He caught everything. But then Cobb pitched me a fastball that I cracked so high it went way over Tall Bubba's outstretched arms and landed inches from the storm drain near the corner of 36th and Virginia, where it slowly rolled in before he could grab it. Tall Bubba was the only one with arms long enough to reach down the drain, so he did. And no sooner than he screamed, "I got it, fellas!" it blew up right in his face. We used to smell gas all the time around there, but none of us ever figured it was anything that mattered. We never saw him again after that, until we sat in Rainbow, splitting 2 cheeseburgers and fries, telling jokes, winking at every girl that walked by with her mama. Until today. Conversation with Tall Bubba. "Hey, Bubba." "Hey, Gigi. The fellas are over there." "Yeah, I see 'em." "They fixed the gas leak." "That's good." "I heard the city's gonna pay you for what happened." "Nah, they ain't even calling my daddy back." "That ain't right." "When you coming back to school?" "I've been doing school at home. Teachers come to my house. Don't want to be seen looking like this." "You still cool as a pool to me, Bubba." "I look kinda ragged and old, with no hair and a busted up face." "A little mature, maybe." "You still Tall Bubba, though. Still too slick for tricks." "Thanks, Gigi. Hey, what did you get on your report card?" "How am I supposed to know that?" "Report cards don't come out till next week." "Nah, they came out today." "They did?" "Yep. I'll see you around." Report card Friday. "I gotta go," I hollered to the fellows. "Gotta get home and get to the mail before my daddy does." Ronnie sat there laughing at us and finished the rest of the juicy cheeseburgers with pickles and loads of ketchup by himself. See, he'd been signing his own report cards since first grade because his grandparents couldn't read so well anymore. But my parents could. "Come on, Rudy, let's split." School. Big Head Paul was the smartest kid of all of us. His hand was always the first to go up when a teacher asked a question about trees or bees or oceans or seas. Science was his thing. Ronnie always brought peaches and pears from his grandmama's backyard for our teachers, so whether he studied or not, he always got decent grades and even made the honor roll once. Lucky was what you might call a natural genius. He knew a little bit about everything and loved to talk as much as I did. But his claim to fame was he could spell mostly any word in the English language. And he could read real fast, which came in handy because I couldn't do either very well. In second grade, we were sitting in circle time, taking turns reading Fun with Dick and Jane, and it was my turn, and I swear, the F in fun turned upside down, started floating off the page, and then some of the other letters inside the book started playing Ring Around the Rosie and switching their order. Jane said run became Rain said Jun, and that didn't sound like it made any sense, so I didn't say it. Then F came back, but it started dancing around so much that I started getting dizzy, and my stomach hurt, and some of the kids started calling me dumb, and I almost threw up right there in the middle of the second grade circle time. So now I just try to memorize what I hear and make up what I don't. Failed plan. I ran home so fast I could see my big toe starting to bust out of my shoe, like an inmate out in a prison. Rudy was 2 blocks behind me, so when he finally walked up, winded and holding his chest like he was going to collapse in our front yard from running so fast and far, I was sitting on the porch, scared straight because our mailbox was empty. Conversation with Mama Bird. "Gigi, come in here." "I thought you were supposed to be trying harder." "I did. I understand everything we're doing in school, mostly. It's just sometimes Don't make excuses, Cassius. Your father won't like this at all. You know that. I know. They're gonna fail you. You keep getting these kinds of grades. I'm not gonna fail. Grades don't make me the man. The man makes the grades. Double talk not gonna make them stop thinking you dumb, Gigi. You think I'm dumb, Mama? Course not. I'm just hoping you know you're not. Mama, I came in this world smart and pretty, and and I'm gonna leave the same way. Well, this weekend we're gonna see Ms. Alberta Jones, see if she can help you out with some of your subjects. Yes, ma'am. Now go on and finish your chores before dinner. Mama, I'm too old for chores. Rudy's the youngest. He should... Gigi, am I too old to cook dinner and wash your dirty drawers? No, ma'am. Then neither are you. Now you best stop yapping and get your skin thickened up, 'cause your daddy will be home soon, and he's gonna hit the roof when he sees that report card. Turning point. Daddy came in the house, not like he usually did, flirting with Bird and talking all loud. No, this time the storm door shut, and he came in the house, slow like a preacher, walking to the pulpit to deliver a funeral eulogy. I heard him drop his art tools at the door, then heard Mama's footsteps as she made her way to him. Rudy and I sat at the dinner table, me not sure how long his hollering was going to be when he saw my grades, Rudy sneaking a bite of cornbread from his plate. When we finally saw his head peek around the corner, like he was looking in a coffin, afraid to see what was there, he motioned for us to get up, so we did. Boys, a giant tree has fallen, is all he said, hugging us like he'd never done before. I was 12, when I was so fast I could dodge rocks and snatch a fly out of midair, when Rudy caught chicken pox, and when tall Bubba lost his face chasing a tennis ball, when I almost failed out of Madison Junior High and decided I was going to make a lot of money so my children wouldn't have to watch the world from behind a fence, when I learned how to shuffle a deck of cards with one hand and make the King of Hearts appear in the other. I was 12 when my daddy came home and told us that Granddaddy Herman, God rest his soul, had passed away.